Hi, I'm Frances Riddle, and I'm going to be reading from chapter 4 of Elena Knows by Claudia Piñeiro and published by Charco Press. Rita was found hanging from the church bell tower, dead, on a rainy afternoon. And that, the rain, Elena knows, is an important detail. Even though everyone says it was suicide, friend or not, everyone says so. But as much as they try to convince her, or they simply remain silent, no one can refute the fact that Rita never went near the church when even threatened rain. She wouldn't be caught dead there, her mother would have said if anyone had asked her before. But she can't say that now, because there she was, that lifeless body that was no longer her daughter, hanging from the bell tower one rainy day, although no one could explain how she got there. Rita had been terrified of lightning ever since she was a little girl, and she knew that the cross on top of the church attracted it. It's a tall lightning rod, her father had taught her, without knowing that this passing comet would keep her from going anywhere near the place in stormy weather. If rain was forecast, she kept away from the church and from the Inchapusis house too, the only one in the neighborhood with a pool at that time. Water is an excellent conductor of electricity, and pools are magnets for lightning, she heard an engineer say on a news report about an incident at a country club when two kids ignored the no swimming sign during a storm and were killed by a bolt of lightning. And if over the years more pools were built in the neighborhood, or more lightning rods, Rita preferred not to know, because every new tidbit of information would only further limit her movements. Not stepping on the checkerboard tiles outside the midwife's house, not going to the church on rainy days, and not going near the Inchapusis house complicated things enough without adding any other detours. Not to mention that Rita patted her right buttock whenever she passed a redhead, as she recited a prayer, and she touched her right hand to her left breast if anyone mentioned Liberty, a poor old man who was rumored around the neighborhood to be cursed because he was always at the wrong place at the wrong time. In front of the Ferrari's house when the pine tree fell and smashed the roof, in line at the bank when the widow Gann's pension was stolen from her, standing on the corner when Dr. Venegas hit the garbage truck with his brand new car, and other incidents at the time. When she started working at the Catholic school, Rita learned to make up excuses every time they tried to send her to the chapel in inclement weather. A pressing task, stomach pains, a headache. She'd go as far as to fake a fainting fit. Whatever it took to avoid going near that cross on a rainy day. How she'd always been. And Elena thinks, she knows, that this couldn't have just changed all of a sudden, even on the day of her death. Even though no one will listen to her, even though no one cares. If her daughter went to the church on a rainy day, it was because someone dragged her there, dead or alive. Someone or something, said Inspector Avellaneda, the officer assigned to the case. Why do you say that, Inspector? Something like what? Oh, I don't know, said Avellaneda. If you don't know, then don't say anything, she scolded him. She was found by some boys that Father Juan had assigned to ring the bells announcing the 7 o'clock mass. They flew down the stairs screaming and ran through the church. Father Juan didn't believe them, but the boys insisted he had to come and see, and they dragged him up the bell tower. The body was hanging from a rope, and the rope from the yoke that held the bronze bell. An old rope so worn out no one could explain how it held her weight for long enough to kill her. It had been left lying in the bell tower along with some scaffolding boards from the last time they cleaned the dome, according to the report Elena later read. My God, murmured Father Juan, and although he recognized Rita immediately, he didn't say her name, pretended he didn't know her, just picked up the overturned chair beneath the swinging body and stood on it to take her pulse. She's dead, he said, which the boys already knew. They played at being dead many times, being cops or robbers, shooting or dying. So they knew that the woman hanging from the bell was not playing. Father Juan took them back down to the church, but this time he had to make the sign of the cross and bend their knees, slightly when they passed the sanctum holding communion wafers that had already been blessed. You wait here, he said to them, as he left to phone the police. And not a word to anyone. God will be watching you, he added. But it wasn't necessary, because the boys had both gone mute.